is. And so I believe that what happens is, as you go through, the more you go through, the more those identifiers, you become aware that they actually can leave or they can drop off. And so that's when you figure out who you are. That's when you rely more on your inner self and your skill set.
So, welcome, Amanda. Here we are, and I love it that you give permission also.
Yes, thank you. And hello from Sydney. I hope we have an amazing conversation that helps people grow and allow themselves to be who they're going to be.
Yes. So, the first question I always ask is, when you hear allow yourself, what comes to mind?
So, interestingly, I've been through this journey myself a little bit. And for me, allow yourself, I think I've grown up with trauma, and I think when you grow up with trauma and adversity and struggle, it can take hold of you in different ways. And for me, what it did is that it inadvertently made me play small. It made me feel that life was dangerous and that I had to sort of brace all the time and be watching and waiting and just be hypervigilant. So for me, allow yourself means no longer playing small, no longer bracing, having complete faith that no matter what happens, because stuff will happen, that I can handle it. And that, if I trust myself and my intuition and I allow, I guess, my skill set and my personality and my character to flow through me, then everything will be okay.
Oh, beautiful. So, what I'm hearing is that when we are small, we'll start putting layers and layers and layers according to what's going on outside, the things that we think are happening to us or people are doing to us. So we just keep carrying that load and being smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, you become scared of life, scared of people, scared of things going wrong, because you've experienced it before so many times. That fear shrinks you. And so allowing yourself is saying, I refuse to shrink anymore. I'm actually going to, come out in my full glory.
Good. Nice. It's like, instead of living with fear and being in alert all the time, is trusting the process and just releasing and knowing that we are like a bird on a stick, that it doesn't matter if the stick breaks, we can always fly.
That's
So
100%.
That's feeling of self self-esteem and self-security, let's say.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I'm going to use that.
Oh, okay. So tell us a little bit, what is the turning point or an event where you can think that you started to allow yourself?
Oh, okay. So I grew up with a lot of different events that had happened to me throughout, I started at 10 and, went all the way up to 50. And I used to get out of bed, and although I was strong and quite capable and, all of the things that I've just said, I also had this underlying, I guess, sadness or a level of lethargy. Life is so hard. Why do I have to keep pushing through, kind of thing? And it was Christmas time, and I decided to take a holiday from work, but not go anywhere. So a staycation. And I was walking around my neighborhood. I do these things called gratitude walks, where I walk around and I think about, how, like, all the things that are amazing in my life. And it all of a sudden hit me. And I believe that the universe does that. It just downloads thoughts for you. And it hit me, and I thought, people will often ask themselves when they're trying to recalibrate their lives, or work through something. People will often say, how would I change my life if I won the lottery? Like, what would I do differently if I won the lottery? And I thought, that question doesn't, it doesn't motivate me. I mean, I would travel the world, brilliant. But until I have that money, I can't do anything with it. And it doesn't actually change, my happiness level or, how I'm feeling. And also, 1 in 16 million people win the lottery. So I actually changed the question. I was walking down the street and I thought, okay, if I got a phone call right now from my doctor saying, hey, I'm sorry, we've just found out you've got a terminal illness, you've got cancer or something like that. You've only got a few months to live. How would I feel then? And I thought I'd be really angry and I'd be really upset, not just that obviously I had cancer and I had a short time to live, but that I have wasted my entire life doing, nothing other than preparing for the worst or being hypervigilant or watching and waiting and stressing about things. And so I don't know, it just sort of recalibrated my whole thinking system and it settled in my body. And I thought, I can't keep doing what I've been doing because I've wasted. I mean, I haven't wasted, but at that moment in time, I felt like I had wasted, the gifts that I'd been given and the skills and all the things that make me amazing. I hadn't been using because I was so focused on worrying about what was coming next and how to battle it. So that was my moment.
Yeah, in a walk, you have to have that peace of mind and you have to have that pause in order to let download. That's an expression that another person that did a podcast, Sharon, use a lot. The download. It's a download, but I have to be quiet. I have to be in pause. I have to be like that in order to realize. But it's like a turning point, like where you flip the coin, when you flip it, and it's like there is no going back anymore. It's like
that's right. Once you see it, you can't unsee
it. You cannot unsee it. So what did you have to unlearn?
So definitely that whole play small, coping, being the person that has it all together. I've always been the one that, if there's an emergency, you want me in the room because I don't get flustered, I don't spiral, I don't get emotional or caught up in the drama. I'm very capable of being able to see a problem and find a solution. And, I think that and I think also as part of that playing small and part of that sort of hypervigilance, I became palatable. So I almost stopped being visible. And I don't mean visible by, I mean, yes, obviously I'm on stages and things like that. So there's, you can be visible on stage, you can be visible with pink hair. That's not what I mean. I mean visible for who I am and feeling safe to be, unapologetically authentic. And, and I think I was scared that if I did that, that would make me vulnerable and it would make life notice me and then more bad stuff would happen. And so I think it just, it was that, it honestly was that moment of allowing myself to actually be everything that I can be and I know I can be. And I just hadn't practiced for a while.
That's very nice because the fear sometimes that we have to change and to be unapologetically, authentically, is a fear of rejection, a fear of being excluded. And that's what Brené Brown talks about, the difference between fitting and belonging, no? That I put all those layers and masks and whatever in order to please the others and to fit in where I am, until we understand that we belong to ourselves. And once we realize we belong to ourselves, we don't care what other other people think. There will be people that like us, there will be people that don't like us. But that's how it is. I won't feel excluded because I belong to me. But
I think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think as well, it wasn't only about other people because I actually don't really care about what other people think, but I think it was more about life. I felt like if I allowed myself to be happy and I allowed myself to find joy in things and I allowed myself to fully be who I am and form deep relationships and all those things, that life would hurt me. Whereas if I kept my armor on, then people, life, things, nothing could hurt me because I was so protected. But by being so protected and numbing myself out to the rest of the world, I actually didn't have joy and happiness and playfulness and, abundance. I just had rigidity and, protection sort of thing.
It's emotions is a whole spectrum, right? From bad to good or whatever. But once you shut the bad out, you're shutting the good out too. So
That's right.
that's you just explained it beautiful because you were so rigid that nothing will harm me and I'm protecting myself. I don't let the joy in. I don't let the happy in because in the happy can be threatened, right? I can be
Yeah.
threatened too. Yes,
Yeah.
it's when we
I was
allow, then we allow the whole spectrum, and we know
mm,
we can handle both. We can
yeah.
handle joy. And some people, I have interview and even friends of mine, they say it's easier for them to feel the bad than to feel the
Mm,
good because their body has been so long trained to
mhm.
to be harmed and to be humiliated and to be excluded that uh, they feel more comfortable with that, that
I
feeling the joy or the happiness.
Yeah, I was walking down the street literally about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago and doing my gratitude walk, and I felt really content. I was like, wow, my life is genuinely amazing. And in that moment, as soon as I felt content, my body sort of like I had a moment of overwhelm and a bit of panic. And I thought, why am I panicking? Like, I've literally just said to myself, my life is actually pretty amazing. And I realized that I'm not used to that feeling. I'm so used to bracing and being, ready for the next hit that to feel content is very unfamiliar territory. And so it felt unsafe. And I had to remind myself that actually I am safe, regardless of what my life looks like. I have been through many things before and I'm still standing. So I know that I have me and I know that I have a skill set that can get me through anything that comes my way. So even though it might feel unsafe to be content and, happy, it's actually going to be okay. So I know exactly what you mean.
I remember when I started with the following the affirmations of Louise Hay. I am
Yeah,
open and
love
receptive
Louise.
to all good in life, and I said today is the best life of my life, and today is a wonderful day. And then I start seeing after uh, every hour just little miracles and little magic all the way, and good things happening to me all over that. I remember in the afternoon feeling really scared because it's too be good to be
Too
true.
good to be
No,
true. Yeah.
this is the silence before the storm. All the things that we have been implanted in our head that that
Yeah.
come to mind. So it says, no, 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 I'm safe, it's fine, I'm okay, no, I'm safe,
Mm.
all is well. Out of this situation, only good things will come. Like Louis say,
Yeah.
all the affirmations that really do miracles in my
Yeah.
mind. And
There's a thing I do neuro linguistic programming. Have you ever heard of that?
yes, the PL,
Yeah,
NLP.
NLP. Yeah. And one of the things that they talk about in NLP is your RAS, your reticular activation system, which is where, if you say to someone, we're going to spot all the yellow cars on the road, prior to that, you wouldn't have seen any yellow cars because you weren't looking for it. But as soon as you start looking for it, you see 15 yellow cars, just constantly yellow cars. And it's the same with what you were talking about, is that when you start to tell yourself, like with the Louise Hay affirmations, tell yourself that things are good and things are going to happen for you, etc. You do start, you activate that RAS system in your brain, and then you start to notice those things more and more and more. And so, yeah, it's a really powerful tool to start looking for it. And I've done speaking gigs before where I've said, everyone look around the room, find anything that you can that's red, find 15 things that are red, and they'll all look around. And then I'll say, close your eyes. Now tell me what you found that was green. And no one can tell me, like maybe they say one or two things in the room that are green, but they just didn't see anything that was green because they were looking for red.
Yeah, it's where our focus goes, your energy goes.
Energy flows. That's it.
Energy flows. Yes. That reminds me the pregnant woman syndrome, because when you're pregnant, you say, "Wow, everybody's pregnant right now." No,
Yeah.
you see every woman pregnant, every pregnant woman. That's what you see around you, but not really. It's like yeah, is the RAS working? Is like my daughters tease me now because I wrote a book and I interview a lot of people that wrote books, and I meet a lot of people that have written books. And she says, "You think?" Because I was talking about, everybody writes a book now, and she says, "Mom, do you really think that everybody writes a book?" Says,
Yeah,
"You are in that world. That's your focus. So you will see every single. Oh, I know this one. I know this one. Oh, that.
Yeah, that's why they say you are the five people that you hang around with most, because who you have in your circle and your environment is what you're going to, start seeing and thinking and feeling, because it's human nature as well.
Mm-hmm. And tell me something. If you would have to talk to your inner girl of 15 years old, what would you say? What would you tell her?
I would tell her to stop holding her breath. I would say, just breathe, just because I think, when people say just breathe, I think it implies just relax. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that for 50 years, I held my breath waiting. So I would say to my 15-year-old self, just breathe, stop holding your breath. You're going to be okay. You actually have the skill set to get through all of it. And in the end, you're going to use all of these things that happen to you to help other people in the world sort of get through the things that they don't think they can get through at that time. So that would be it. Stop holding your breath.
It's just like, okay, it's like, here I come, no? Yeah. Here I come with holding the breath. Yeah. It's just breathe, and when we hold our breath, yes, we feel sometimes safer, right? But you can hold your breath for 3 minutes, and after that, you're dead.
And that's the thing. In the end, it hurts only you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So learn to breathe, and today we are more aware how breathing is so important, right? That when we just breathe in a regular pace, the body will know that he will have an inspiration in 30 seconds now, in 1 second.
It's also about trusting yourself and trusting that, I don't have to always be ready. I don't have to prepare for what's next. I don't have to preempt, if this happens, then I'll do this. And if that happens, then I'll do that. And what if this happens? And, it's just, okay, chill. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You've got this. You can handle it. Have faith in yourself and the universe or whatever you believe in, and it'll be okay.
It's very funny because we have been practicing that. We say it with such an ease to get to that point. To just trust the event. It will
Takes
be
a
what
lot
it will
to get
be.
there.
Yeah. But there is exactly a long walk to get there, and to trust yourself, and to trust your inner voice, and to trust the guidance that you feel in your intuition and in your common sense, let's call it. But it's so necessary when you are in this world, that most of the people are in this world and they run, and very trying to fill the expectations of the universe and the world and the other people for themselves, that they even believe that expectation is their own, and is not.
Yes. Yeah, they're so conditioned.
It's so conditioned to look for results all the time. And I have to give tomorrow a workshop to a company, really nice, because they already did the vision board, but I was assigned to do a vision board. So I said, don't worry, I'll do the vision board completely different. Because it's not just to put the results on the vision board, right? It's to understand that it's a process. And the same day that you seed is not the same day that you harvest. You have to have patience from one side to the other. So how do you go through all the seasons, right?
Yeah.
Even when you're tired, okay, in nature, when you're tired, it's like the winter when the seed goes underground in the dark and start germinating, right?
Yeah.
It's doing nothing. It's just laying down, just waiting for the spring to come so I can go out and have fun and produce what I need to produce. But we got to a point that we don't allow ourselves to do nothing.
That's right.
To rest or to pause. And it's so important because in that stage, I don't know if you agree with me, is when we are bored, is when the creativity flourishes.
I agree, because I think you get in touch with who you really are, and all of the noise from outside and all of the expectations and the high functioning capabilities and the tasks that you've got to do. You know, especially women tend to have careers, have children, have husbands, you know, you have pets, you have, you know, there's all sorts of things that, you know, you're managing. Often we forget who we are because we're too busy being a mother and a co-worker and a wife, etc., that, you know, and a daughter, etc., that we forget who we fundamentally are without those identifiers telling us who we are. And I think when you have you know, time to yourself to just sit and be bored, that's when you remember who you really are.
Yeah, it's the question that I ask myself, what am I without that? It's like a mourning when somebody's in mourning after a death or a lost a job or lost something, is who am I without that? Especially people that leave the corporate world, they it's like they lost their identity because their identity was the last name. Okay, I'm Beatriz from Intel. I'm Intel from Coca-Cola. I'm Intel, right? From Pepsi. I'm Intel from mac and cheese, whatever. Yeah, that's our last name. So once we're not working there, who am I? Just Beatriz. What? So then I'll find my last name, my really last name. Who am I? But it's kind of curious because we were born naked, without nothing, without
Tabula rasa.
Yeah, without any identity. But we are born already to a family that has a religion, that has a color, that has habits, that had traumas, that have values, that have financial abundance or scarcity. And then to fit in and to be able to live in that family is that we start transforming ourselves. And the adolescence, I call it, that is the real discovery, when you allow yourself to see what's mine, what's not, what did I get from my parents, what do I want, what do I like. And that's a rebellion, that it's called rebellion because we start looking for what we really like and what we really want. Who am I without the family? Who am I?
It's true. And if you write a list of, who you are, a lot of at least the first bunch will be those identifiers. I'm 50 years old. I'm, live in this neighborhood. I do this for a job. I'm married to this guy, etc. But once you put all those identifiers down and you finished with that, what's next? What else is there that makes
But you
you
forgot the
and
title.
different from someone else?
I'm an engineer.
Mm,
That part, I'm an engineer, I'm a nurse, okay? And when I'm not that, what happens?
exactly. I agree.
Nice, nice. So,
And you know what? Sorry, Beatrice, I just thought an addition on that. The interesting thing is that, as you said, I'm an engineer, I'm a nurse, and without that, what happens? I think when you have adversity and struggle in your life, you realize that a lot of those things can go. You realize that, the wife that you are, maybe you get divorced. You realize that, the engineer that you are, maybe you're made redundant. You know, like the daughter that you are, your parents pass away, whatever it is. And so I believe that what happens is, as you go through, the more you go through, the more those identifiers, you become aware that they actually can leave or they can drop off. And so that's when you figure out who you are. That's when you rely more on your inner self and your skill set. And okay, I am, extremely resilient. I have, a superpower of being able to read people and their, body language and their faces and their words. I have, a mindset of abundance, whatever it is that is internally you that differentiates you from other people. And that comes from the fact that we've learned all of those external identifiers are not guaranteed.
no, the mask fall. There is only one that remains, that is your own. So now look at the mirror and says, who am I? Do I like this person? Do I love it? Do I know it? So it's when we start. I do an exercise in my workshops that to take people take a mirror or the phone in the camera and just to look to their eyes and say the name, like Beatriz, I love you, and just wait till see, and you see everybody laughing and feel embarrassed and feel so uncomfortable. I say, okay, say it again. Say your name and say until you feel a little bit comfortable. Then you go, I'm Beatriz, I'm proud of you because da, 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 right? So people feel so uncomfortable and so weird and so ashamed, no, and
They're not
embarrassed.
used to it.
They don't know. This is our soul. The only time that we can really see ourselves is when we're seeing ourselves in a mirror.
But even then, you're not seeing your actual self either.
Exactly,
You're
but
seeing a reflection of
do you
who
look at
you
how many people look in
portray.
their eyes? People avoid looking in their eyes. They see in the mirror and they do this. Okay, they just comb their hair and yes, very nice, very nice. I see here. I have a picture that it says Bob Dylan. Huh? All I can do is be me, whoever that
Yeah,
is, whoever
yeah.
that is.
And it's about embracing that to its fullest.
And what is it? And what is that?
Embrace what is embracing
What's your
yourself.
fullest? What's your fullest?
Well, that's the thing. I think your fullest or my fullest is not hedging my bets, not being, as I said before, not being palatable, just being who I am and how I feel, right or wrong, And I found even in my marriage, I didn't realize this, but I would often sort of, if something happened that I was worried about or thinking about or upset about, I'd just keep it to myself. Whereas now I can say, listen, I might be incorrect. Like I may not be right to feel this, thing, but this is how I'm feeling. Whether it's right or wrong, this is actually how I'm feeling. And 9 times out of 10, my partner will say, oh, God, no, that's not what I meant, or that's not what I did, or, whatever. But at least I've said it. At least I've owned it. At least I've got it out of me. And then once that has happened, I feel good. It's not a problem. So I've learned to, I'm lucky. I was told that neurologically I have no filter. So I'm very lucky in the sense that whatever I think I say. And, I'm a nice person, so I'm not rude. I'm still kind and I'm still respectful. But I have almost this urge that I have to speak the truth of whatever I believe is the truth. I have to say it. And so it's actually very freeing to be like that and to trust that whatever it is that you think and feel and, understand that's okay.
That's I would, what I'm listening is like, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you learn how to communicate, because we were taught that people read minds, just silence. Silence is an answer. Yes, it's a huge answer, but it's not what you mean. Sometimes you need the silence, but when you learn to communicate how you feel, what your emotions, and not only know what you think, because thoughts are disputable. But what you feels are not disputable. What you feel is what you feel, right, wrong, it doesn't matter. It makes me feel this way. So I don't like it because or I like it because it makes me feel this way. It doesn't matter if it's a thought. No, it's a feeling. It's an emotion coming in. So it's like that filter becomes more open and thinner.
I think it becomes more true as well. There's less performative boundaries, instead of thinking, well, this is how I feel, but if I say something, they might get upset, or maybe I'm wrong, or, all of those things. And so you keep it in a nice, neat little box. When you are just genuinely honest and authentic in yourself, you can let it flow, and you're not necessarily expecting someone else to be able to do anything with it, but it's being true to who you are and saying how you feel.
Yeah. And if you don't have who to say to, write it down, because it's true to yourself. So you write it down, you can see it in another perspective. It's like talking to a tree, no? It's like taking it out of your system. For those that are listening to us, Amanda, we were talking about this. She's a sharer, and she loves to share in podcasts, in stages, in an article, whatever you want her to share. Here she is, her stories, her mind, her experience, her trauma, how she flipped everything to strength and not to stay in the weakness. I don't like that word, but let's say let's say get up instead of being down. So how to turn it over. So Amanda, is there anything else that you want to say to the audience, something that you want them to take with?
Yeah, look, I think my main message, I guess, if you like, is that it's not like when something happens to you, it's not about what happened to you. It's about the meaning that you give what happened to you. And it's the same with how you have, the flip it philosophy. It's exactly the same as that. It's about reframing, how you see things, not better, not worse, being able to turn a problem into something that maybe benefits you, learning through what happens to you. So yeah, it's basically It's not what happened to you, it's the meaning that you give what happened to you. It's how you think about what happened to you that I think is the most important aspect.
Yeah, beautiful. The circumstances are circumstances. For some are good, for some are bad. It depends which with glasses are you watching, are you
Yeah.
perceiving what meaning you're giving to that circumstances. Beautiful. And in one sentence, what do you take? Is there any line that you take from this conversation?
In one sentence.
Mm-hmm.
As in, is there a specific thing that's been said already?
Yeah, something that you take from this conversation, or your feeling about this nice conversation that we had.
Yeah. There was a moment when we were talking, and I remember thinking, we said something early on in the piece about not having to always hold your breath. And that's right. And you said it's easy to say that, to just say to somebody, just relax, etc. And I had a moment where I thought, I hope that there's someone on the other end of this podcast that is, high functioning, and they're capable, and they're fine, and they're, living their life sort of rigidly, and making it all happen, and holding it all together, knowing that there's an undercurrent of, maybe things aren't so amazing, and they're just keeping it all in check. And I hope that the person that is listening and is like that sits there and goes, actually, maybe they're right. Maybe I can just stop holding my breath for a minute, even if it's just for 5 minutes in a day, and just have faith that I've got this. Whatever this is, I've got this. So that would probably be my moment.
Beautiful. My moment is I link the don't play small. Don't be afraid to play big. So you don't have to play small. To the question, who am I without all those identifiers?
Mm.
So that is what will help me play big.
Yeah, I think those identifiers are what make you palatable. They're the things that society say is okay. I know who you are. You're a 50-year-old engineer who lives in this neighborhood, da 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 da. And so that effectively makes you palatable. And I think that being visible for who you are, not what you do, is a big thing.
And that's flexible. I want to add that because I had that conversation like 2.5 hours ago that I was talking to a friend, and she says, "Oh no, she reminds me when I was a kid. She reminds me as I was a kid. She didn't
Mm.
see me grow, so she thinks I'm the same troublemaker, mischievous that I was when I
Yeah.
was a kid." She says, "What I call a fixed idea. Yes, there are some people that get fixed in the idea of what was 20 years ago, 1 year ago, or 2 years ago, and cannot see the change of where the person have evolved and learned. So,
Yeah.
so very, very important to be open to see differences and to see changes because we are changing every single day.
Yes. And thank God.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Amanda. It was a wonderful conversation, very nice. I think I learned a lot, and I think our listeners also learn a lot. At least if they don't learn, at least they get some questions to ask themselves and start reflecting. That is one of the
Fairness.
best parts of learning is starting to ask yourself questions. So thank you very much. See you. We'll keep in touch, and thank you very much for your for your wisdom, for your experience, for your heart, for sharing with us such a nice, traumatic life, right? And it's also an invitation for those that are listening not to forget to give yourself permission to be you, to have courage with grace, self trust, and even take permission to rest, to pause, to ask questions, and to allow yourself to be the best version of you. that
Yeah,
you're
it's
meant to be.
stop self-abandoning.
Yes. Take care of yourself, take your power back, and be who you allow yourself to be, who you are really meant to be. So thank you. See you next time.
Thank you.